Hello everyone, and one of my favourite when we're talking about White Hawk and the teachings and the 21 days, they're all my favourite subjects really, but this is a subject that is very, very close to my heart. Remote spirit release. What is it? How it works? This is something that people have been doing for generations and generations, for thousands of years. This is something, again, that is perfectly natural to us as human beings, but now we've taken that on a little bit, and we have titles because we're humans, so we have to have titles and do things this way, and now we have spirit release practitioners. There are different levels and there are different ways of working, so anyone that says that they're a spirit release therapist or practitioner does not mean that they work exactly the same way as the practitioners that we have in the Spirit Release Academy. And I would normally say they work nothing like the way that we work in the Spirit Release Academy. So what is it? When somebody has an attachment, whether it be an earth or usually earthbound, people talk about spirit release therapy as earthbound attachments. That's one level, just one. And those earthbound attachments hook onto an energy source. Sometimes they hook on because they don't want to go into the light. They're frightened of going into the light. If you think of how religion affects death, death used to be celebrated. In many cultures, in many indigenous tribes across the world, death is a celebration. Because you're going home, you're going back to spirit, you're going back to the ancestors. Whereas in religion, and I make no judgment of religion, you get judged. When you die, you get judged, and you've lived your life as a sinner. So there are people that when they pass are actually frightened of death, and as they approach death, they're frightened of death. So sometimes they don't go into the light because it's somewhere they don't want to go because of that fear factor. And then they need an energy source like a battery pack to continue their existence, if you like. So that's when they hook on to you and me and other people, and that is where they get their battery pack. When we do clearings, it's very, very regular that people have attachments. It's very, very regular that people have attachments and that they don't have a sovereign body. So having those attachments means that your energy layers are altered. There can be conditioning. If you have an intelligence with you, that can be mind controlling, vision controlling, audio controlling, how you see the world, how you hear the world, how you speak. It can all be controlled. So with remote spirit release, we work on levels. I personally work on about 19 levels, of which one level is removing attachments and taking earthbound spirits back into the light. So when someone says to me, oh, I do SRT, I always ask them what it is they do. And usually they just say that level. So a practitioner with the Spirit Release Academy will work on multi levels, ensuring that at the end of the clearing that they have confirmation of your sovereignty. So how the session works, the facilitator, we work in pairs. The facilitator will work with the medium. The facilitator will control the session. The medium will have very little or nothing to do with the client, because we want no interference. The session is carried out as a pair, the session is recorded, and then a report is typed up and the report is given to the client. And hopefully the intention is that they feel a lot of difference. Sometimes the differences can be really subtle. Sometimes the differences cannot be enjoyable. And that is because if you have energy with you that wants to stay with you, they will make you like it. They will make you like the energy. And we call this the sugar effect. And the sugar effect is that if you have a cup of tea, cup of coffee, and you take 2 sugars, you get used to it. And you enjoy that taste. And you like it. Sometimes you crave it. But you know that sugar isn't good for you. So you take the sugar out. The next cup of tea or coffee that you have tastes pretty awful. It's not enjoyable. And that is because you're not used to drinking a hot drink without sugar. Even though you know that the sugar is bad for you, it tastes better. And it's not to say it is better. It's a false interpretation. Because if you have a drink without sugar, we know that's better for you. But you have to go through that process. You have to go through that change. And this is what happens in an SRT session, is that we create that change. And we take that client back to sovereignty so they have their own energy. And then it's down to that person to learn about sovereignty, to learn about protection. In the reports I always give a protection protocol. And I always give advice from the guides. So, we can't live people's lives for them. They have to take responsibility in themselves. And this is part of what we do. It's about explaining what we do, explaining about energy, and helping people to understand that they are energy and that they can take responsibility for their energy. It's important. It's important that you look after yourself spiritually as well as healthily. So this is what SRT is. It's a clearance of negative energy through your whole etheric body. That will help with healing. That will help with your path, your life's path. Because your life's path will have no interruptions. You will see your path clearly and you'll be able to walk your path without interruption. There are people I'm sure you've heard of. You'll be in a group of people and you'll have a conversation. And one person heard that conversation differently from the rest of you. It's really common. It's really, really common. So, looking after your sovereignty, looking after your energy is vitally important. And it's a big part of our 21 days. Everything we do here is about progressing the self. As White Hawk says, be the light. Learn about the light. Understand the light. Feel the light. Sit with the light. And be the light. And you can book SRT sessions. I have a website, jonnowebster.co.uk, and you can book a spiritual health check, which is a slightly watered down version of the full SRT session. Or you can book SRT on the pages. You can also go to spiritreleaseacademy.com, where we have a practitioners page. Those practitioners are practitioners that have earned the right to have this logo. And believe me, we make them work for it. They earn the practitioner status with the SRA. And they also have websites, Facebook pages where you can book through. So that's SRT in a nutshell. SRT is important to say, particularly with the Academy. Dr. Terence Palmer, he was a psychologist, and he was the driving force behind remote spirit release. The majority of spirit release therapists are not remote, but Terry and Andy came up with a remote version because it's safer and because we can get into the nuts and bolts and go into different trenches and do different things without that physical connection of somebody being in the room. Also opens up the ability for a client to work with us. I've got clients all around the world, literally. Hawaii, Tasmania, Samoa, Africa, all through Europe, Iceland, all through North America, all through and South America as well. So literally all across the world. So in a nutshell, in a brief explanation, that's SRT, and I hope that helps.